Namaste, my friends. I'm making this little video about health-oriented wellness. Despite all the extraordinary advances modern medicine has made, a lot of that is technological advancement, chronic diseases continue to rise around the world. Even considering we have the World Health Organization, etc., we seem to be spreading more disease than actual health. So more and more people are starting to look in other places. The wellness industry is one of the fastest growing businesses as a business because people are tired of the band-aid solution. They're finding that taking steps to become healthier themselves is a big part of the picture and what is necessary for every individual, actually. People are looking beyond the band-aid solution of just treating diseases into ways and possibilities of actually becoming healthier, becoming more resilient, having a higher prevention of disease. And because of this, they're looking into alternatives like yoga. And this is one of the reasons I am putting out this wellness 21-day retreat. The basics of health are not so difficult. And we need to understand more about how our body works, how we can make it far more resistant to disease, far more of like a maintenance program. We have that for all our vehicles. We have it in other areas of life. We don't have maintenance for health, and people degenerate. We expect to be aging and growing old. I don't, and I'm not. So there's a difference in mental attitude. There's a difference in physical treatment. I am responsible for my own health. I don't expect anyone else to fix me up. I fix myself up. I can feel if something is wrong, and I do something about it. If I feel muscles are tight in one area, if I feel my stomach is disturbed, I look at the food I eat, for one thing. Or if there's stress and tension coming, I can feel it in my bones. So we need to go into the feeling aspect. This is a big part of the wellness program. It's about how do you feel? How much do you feel your own body? And can you tell if something is maybe going wrong? So we need to recognize what's producing true health as opposed to what's just masking a symptom. I'll just say like painkillers, for example. If you have pain in your body, what's causing the pain? Instead of taking a painkiller, where does the pain come from? Why is it there? And if you understand that, you can roll back the situation and do something the opposite of what you did to create the pain. The same thing is applied to all the diseases. What's creating the disease? When you understand how the body works, you can easily enough change that situation. You change your diet, you change how you breathe, you change how you move and how much circulation you have going through your body. How much time do we spend sitting in chairs, sitting in cars, sitting at the office? This is not our natural lifestyle. We are mobile beings. We're supposed to move. So if we don't have a daily movement program, okay, it can be Pilates instead of yoga, but yoga is levels and levels beyond that. It goes into a whole mind, body, medicine, consciousness, etc. And when you consider all of those levels, it's a different field. So now, yoga is one of the world's oldest continuously practiced systems for maintaining physical, mental, and spiritual health, well-being, emotional happiness. These are all attributes of a good yoga practice. It is, I would say, the number one maintenance system because it considers all aspects. And it does go into detailed understanding of how our physiology works. I know in standard yoga classes, you go into anatomy, you learn a little bit about how your body is made, but not so much about how the body functions. So in the Chakra Yoga system, we go more deeply into that. What we're going to do here is simply go through the systems of the body and go into the first chakra here. It's connected to our sex glands. It's going into controlling the muscles, the contraction of the muscles, which work on that gravitational force. And it also controls red blood cells, their production, their strength, their ability to use gravity to pull in the oxygen, distribute around the body. Muscles, actions, a lot of things to do with the very physical body are here. As we rise up to the second chakra, we're into the fluid element, and this one is going side to side. It's your kidneys, it's your adrenal glands, one on each side. You can feel it in your lower back, governing all of the fluids, lymphatic fluid primarily. Then we rise up to Manipura, digestion, the pancreas, and the islets of Langerhans that produce insulin, etc. This is very functional for providing the power, the energy to move our body, action. Rising up to the Anahata, here we get into the autoimmune system. And although it's mostly dysfunctional, we spend a lot of time bringing this back. This is an essential part of the wellness program. How to bring your autoimmune system, your resistance to disease, pick everything up, bring it back to peak performance. We reach into Vishuddha chakra, thyroid and parathyroid glands, giving us action, stimulating more active metabolism of the cells, different types of cells, could be in your brain, could be in your body, bringing them back to life. And the parathyroids are controlling your calcium. Coming up to Ajna chakra, the pituitary gland, the master gland of the whole endocrine system. It actually is the one that is telling all of the other glands what to do. So an important mind-body connection, and we start to see the influence that our thoughts and our thinking and our emotions have on the health of our body chemistry and brain chemistry. For thousands of years, yoga has preached or taught, let's say, about prevention, maintenance, taking care of the body, and in India, where it still has been practiced, still is, body maintenance is fundamental. Cleaning the body, breathing deeply, doing all what the body requires. The requirements of the physical body are not out of sight. They're simply, it's the way the machine works. When we have enough oxygen, all our cells are happy, they are functional, they need the fuel all the time. And I keep teaching people and pointing out that the majority of us, the majority of the humans on the planet, if you study and look at them, they're only breathing with 10% or less of their lungs. 90% is not being used. So now when the blood is going from your heart to the lungs to get oxygen and then back into circulation with that oxygen, if it's going to the 90% of your lungs that doesn't work, isn't being used, it's not getting its oxygen supply. It might be able to unload some of the CO2. Even that is questionable. So what's happening is deterioration. The cells way out in whatever gland or organ in your body, they're kind of suffocating. You know the feeling of suffocating? Can't get my breath. This is the reality of the cells themselves. They are suffocating. And they're not putting out very happy signals. They're putting out distress. We need oxygen. And then we start to feel the stress because we have billions of cells in this situation. We start to feel it. So we can change all that. We just need to breathe more deeply. Move something to circulate the lymphatic fluid, again, which doesn't have its own circulatory system like a heart pumping it. We need to become more conscious of how all this works, and we need to become more sensitive to the feeling that we are not getting enough oxygen. There's a sensation of fatigue that comes from having too much carbon dioxide. Your brain interprets the lack of oxygen, the overabundance of CO2. It interprets these impulses as suffocation, tiredness, and fatigue. And when that is prolonged over an extended period of time, it becomes chronic fatigue. It all has to do with the fact that we are suffocating ourselves. So for thousands of years, yoga has proven itself. It has emphasized prevention, maintenance of body functions, healing of anything that has become dysfunctional. It has all the methods and the keys, the techniques of doing these things. Even when illness does occur, there's methods of healing it. But if you've done the practice and you prevent it, then you're in my situation where you don't have health issues. Hey, 77 years, an aging body chronologically, but again, my cells are not aging the way normal people's cells are aging. That is because of my oxygen supply. It stays higher. I am more conscious of when I forget to breathe for a while. I feel it right away. Oh, I'm running out of power. And that's exactly how it feels. And then I take a few deep breaths. I might have to do a cleansing breath if I stopped breathing for long enough, which is just seconds for me because I notice it right away. So it's important to become aware, notice these things, observe, become more sensitive to your own body feelings. This is part of the program. This is part of yoga. An expansion of awareness into different areas of our body so that we can notice when something isn't quite right. As soon as the cells are running out of oxygen, you get this feeling of, I need to breathe more deeply. We are made of all these cells, and they all want the oxygen. So if we pay attention, we notice it, and we react accordingly and appropriately. So at the heart of yoga, we have a very elaborate and sophisticated understanding of the energetic system of the body. It's energy that stimulates action, brings things to life, even stimulates the endocrine glands to produce the hormones, our body chemistry that regulate everything. The impulse is an electromagnetic impulse. It's energy. It's prana in yogic terminology. The ancient yogic system, the chakra system, which is what I teach, the chakra yoga system, looks at the universe being made of energy, and we are made of this same energy. We have our share of it, condensed into atoms and molecules, but they are made of electromagnetic waves also. And we can direct what these waves are doing. There are methods and techniques for visualizing, feeling, doing things with this energy to send a good impulse to the different endocrine glands so that they're producing the hormones that we need on a daily basis. Instead of going through memory banks and thinking I had this disease or my parents had it, I might have it, this is going to change the way your body is making your chemistry. So you go back and inspect this, you're observing and you're seeing, well, that's kind of a negative thought, an expectation about some kind of problem that I might have because my grandparents had it. Instead of looking at the new age, the new belief systems that come with quantum physics, where everything is made of waves of possibility. We're talking electromagnetic waves. What kind of molecules are they going to come into being? What will they create according to expectations and memory of what you've been told? Or a new possibility of, hey, this is the shape of the molecule I'm making, and yoga has these shapes. This is part of the sacred geometry aspect. So it's a reality of holding an image and bringing the waves of possibility into this image to create the hormones you need to create what is the best for your situation, for your body, changing a bad hormonal output into something by reaching into this realm of possibilities. So these ancient yogis who came up with the system understood that life is fundamentally a dynamic movement and experience of being, which it was, of course, more in olden times. And now we've created a society that has deleted a lot of the movements. We just sit and send the commands or push keys and buttons, not moving enough. Even the circulation goes downhill. So as yoga has this view of an animated body that's moving and circulation is created all the time, and we keep going with it. So this understanding of the energetics, the chakra system, everything is made of energy. Energy has different vibration rates, different frequencies. You hear the sound of my voice. It has a certain frequency. I can raise my voice to a higher frequency, higher pitch. We can do this. The sound of that we use in mantra. In yoga, specifically in yoga, not necessarily in Hinduism, we deal with the sounds, not words. The actual frequencies and sounds that are used to reset how the energy is moving, how it's vibrating at each chakra level. And when we do that, we have much more functional chakras. This is an understanding of something that Western medicine is just now beginning to see, that energy, vibration, sound are all components of our human reality. So we need to take this into consideration. What you're seeing here is a quantum sound chair used to produce vibrational frequencies that go right through your body, readjusting the frequency of your cells and the molecules within the cells. This is modern medicine. It's probably the medicine of the future, and it's part of the training that we get in our wellness retreat. It is not just the theory of frequency and vibrations, but you get to experience the feeling of having your cells adjusted and bringing them back into a very harmonious level of existence, which creates health. Although we think of these ancient cultures, out of which yoga came, as being somewhat primitive, maybe they didn't have the scientific technology we have, but they had the inner vision and the inner feeling to go into these places and feel how things are flowing, feel your heartbeat. This is an experience that we have, and what we bring other people to realize, and particularly in this wellness healing retreat, it's you learn to feel a lot of things that you never noticed before. And you can go deep enough into your being that you're feeling the vibration of glands and organs and of the cells that are in there. They all have their vibration. The molecules within the cells have their vibration. When everything is vibrating in harmony, we have this harmonious resonance, and we have health as a result. We feel good. Just like listening to music where everything is in tune and flowing, it's an enjoyable experience. When things go out of tune, it's not enjoyable anymore. So we need to go in and reset some of our cells, glands, and organs. Maybe they've been polluted by something we ate, too much coffee, too much alcohol, various things can go into overload, too much. All things in moderation is one of the yogic rules. And when you're really feeling the effects of what you eat, because you're sensitive enough, you know when enough is enough. You can have chocolate, you can have coffee, you can have all these things, occasionally a glass of wine or whatever. It's okay if you're feeling the results and the reactions. So you learn to feel this, and this is part of the training. Become sensitive, become aware of what's going on in your own body. It's your body. Nobody else can come and measure how things are going inside. You have to feel it if you want an accurate perception of what is really going on in me. So people are now finding, discovering this connection between ancient chakra systems, energetics, and modern research is realizing, let's say, that even energy in the form of stress, how that can be disruptive. This is known. How many diseases and situations are lying on a bed of stress that doesn't go away, and it creates all these disturbances. So as we get into this understanding of the body, I have to say that Dr. Swami Gitananda, that I studied with, really understood everything about this whole mind-body connection. He explained how every chakra is connected to one of the endocrine glands, and when the frequency and energy of that chakra is abundant and accurate, the gland will be doing its function perfectly well. You don't try and adjust the gland or cut it out or mutate it. You adjust the frequency, the energy that's going to it. And this is coming from mind to energy to frequency and rebooting the system. And we can do that at each of the glands. There's a technique called the Oli Mudras, which is specifically for resetting the endocrine glands back to a normal, healthy situation, as, let's say, when you were teenagers, if you're a healthy teenager, I mean, and you're resetting things so that your functionality, your enthusiasm, your whole attitude towards life is again younger and more optimistic. And your cells are going to respond to that by becoming more youthful. This is a possibility. I demonstrate this with my DNA testing and everything that shows that my cells are not aging the way normal people are aging. They are aging, their cells are aging, the systems begin breaking down. The reason for that is the same reason. It's lack of oxygen, lack of fuel. Cells cannot reproduce well if they don't have the fuel they need. So this was an elaborate explanation that I got from Swami Gitananda of how all this works, how important it is to breathe. And again, when I studied 10 months intensely with him, and actually the first 2 weeks of the program was pretty much how to breathe in situations, how to breathe with all three parts, how to bring in the complete yogic breathing, Mahat Yoga Pranayama, abdominal breath, midsection, upper breath, all functioning together. And as soon as you increase your lung capacity, your chemistry changes. Your body reacts in a very positive way. And I have spent years looking at people. I look at people, I see how they stand, I see if they're stressed, I see if they're walking normally or if they're hunched over, and I always look and observe, how are they breathing? And I see that 10% and less is there. Your body cannot survive. It deteriorates when you're only using that 10%. Remember, I just pointed out 90% of your lungs are not being used. Your heart is pumping blood to that area to get oxygen, but it comes out empty-handed. There was no oxygen in the lungs because we forgot to put it in there. We didn't notice that we weren't breathing. So the cells in your body go back into this suffocating. It creates stress, anxiety, and deterioration. So do we want that? The other thing that Swami Gitananda was throwing into this knowledge bank beyond the physical was the thought patterns, the emotions that are created by our own chemistry. And this was in later years. He taught it a long time ago. Dr. Candace Pert, in her book Molecules of Emotion, was pointing out how the frequency and vibration of your molecules, of your chemistry, is what makes you feel happy or makes you feel sad, makes you feel optimistic or makes you feel depressed. This is all part of this internal awareness, and we can recreate our molecules again in a very positive way, affecting our thoughts, our emotions, and then going down from there into our physiological health. It's all connected. Mind, body, medicine. So in this presentation and in the wellness program that we're teaching for 3 weeks, we'll be looking primarily at the physical aspect of how we're creating our own body chemistry, why we're maybe distorting it, why we're reaching into memory and creating the same chemistry as yesterday, which wasn't good because we were sick yesterday. So we learn to change these things, and awareness becomes a big component in that. You have to feel, like I'm saying about, you have to feel your body, not just think about it or go for a checkup. We do our own checkups. So we can compare our endocrine system with how things work in our house. Let's say we have electricity going to the fridge, to the fan, to the aircon, to the water kettle. If there's not enough electricity, the lights themselves will start to go dim. This is what's happening in our body. We need to have enough electricity. This is the prana. And the prana is the electricity that's going into your brain, into the nervous system, and then it needs to be supported by the physiological component, which is the oxygen that are needed by the cells. The impulse to be healthy can come from here. So we look at the energetic. Again, let's look at pranayama yoga. Prana is the energy. It's not a mystical energy, it's electrons. Electrons attached to oxygen molecules here in the jungle. When the leaves are giving us back the oxygen, they take our CO2, they take our carbon, give us back the oxygen. That comes with extra electrons. And when we're breathing in through the nose, we are absorbing that into the brain directly. Oxygen, air goes down to the lungs, oxygen to the bloodstream. You learn to feel all this. You can actually learn to feel the prana coming in your nose and going into your brain. It's a really cool feeling. But again, this requires sensitivity. I was busy thinking about something else. Your thinking takes that energy and just puts it into this non-stop chattering. If you would simply feel the energy, you're directing it in a better way. You're more aware, and you can bring it to an area of your body where maybe you need some kind of healing, some kind of an uplift. So during the course, we go through each of the chakras, we go through each of the endocrine glands, we go into each of the body systems and see how they're doing. And with yoga, we have these techniques and methods of increasing. We do midsection breath to increase energy to the thymus gland, to heal heart conditions. We do abdominal breathing for regulating digestion, internal organs, even sexual organs. These are all methods and techniques. It all makes total sense when you start doing it and you start feeling what's going on. So this practice of yoga that I am preaching almost, well, I'm trying to persuade people to be healthy. I've been doing this since I came back from India. 1974, I told some people that I had known that, hey, we don't have to be sick. We can be healthy. We can maintain our youthfulness. And my old friend said, well, now you're 24, you can say that, but wait until you're 40. Well, now I'm almost double 40, and I'm as healthy as I was then. I'm trying to teach people by giving them a good example, not just by preaching, as I said. I live the yoga lifestyle. I am teaching what I live because I see and I feel how effective it is. We don't need disease. It's been inherently put into our mind as an expectation. It's produced by the foods we eat with all the chemical preservatives and stuff like that. So hey, go organic. You eliminate some of the problem. Breathe deep. You eliminate another big part of the problem. Take a deep breath. Even as you're listening to me and watching this video, are you breathing? You forget when your attention is going to the screen, to someone talking, to whatever. We forget to breathe. Breathing is a feeling. You have to be in touch with your feeling, and you notice, oh yeah, I wasn't breathing for a while there. And I start to feel a little bit of fatigue. Maybe I'm tired of listening to this video, but if I take a few deep breaths, I have more enthusiasm to hear what else is being said. So we'll be going through the chakras a little bit, one at a time. I have them laid out here in this drawing that I did a long time ago. First chakra, when you have enough energy in here, you encounter qualities of stability, grounding, you feel safe and secure, your survival is okay, your reproduction is good. And then we'll look a little bit into endocrine glands. So we have the sex glands connected with Muladhara in the system of Swami Gitananda. I see in yoga books that sometimes sexuality has to do with the second chakra. Yes, but your sperm and your egg are created with the power of the first chakra, which is the essence of sexuality or reproduction. So we have hormones like testosterone and estrogen and a few other variations on that. And these are made in both sexes, but in different proportions. It's that simple. So these hormones regulate reproduction, influencing muscle development, bone density, strength, energy levels, motivation, emotional balance, emotional stability, and many other aspects that go into our physical health. Strength of the muscles. Again, the gravitational force, which is the first chakra, is what contracts the muscles. And all the muscles are connected to the first chakra. So doing muscular activities will increase the strength of this chakra. Now, it's easy these days to look up these things. You can just click and ask chat or whatever and come up with a lot of information. I really had to struggle with it when I came back from India in 1974. You couldn't even find books on physiology that made much sense. Medical texts were always talking about the problems of this gland and that organ, not about the healthy aspect of how this gives us life and possibilities in the world. So we're dealing with hormones in the sex glands that regulate reproduction, influence emotional and mental well-being. You feel good about yourself. This is part of your chemistry. It supports muscles and bone health. Your bones are strong, and you know that your bones, we'll get to that in the fifth chakra, but your bones have a lot of calcium in them, and calcium is used by the muscles as a trigger to activate muscle cells. So when you are using your muscles, some of the calcium is taken out of your bones for muscular activity. And when you relax, the calcium should go back to the bones. This is all regulated by parathyroid glands that are up in the fifth chakra area. But this is part of life's process. And if that's out of balance, you lose some of your bone density, the calcium doesn't go back in. So all of this has to do with the energetics of each chakra and the balancing of these chakras' energies, which balances the endocrine system. So this, even the testosterone, for instance, it contributes to creativity, to strength, gives you some motivation, and healthy relationships even, because you're sure about yourself, and then you can relate to someone else because you know who you are. and you feel confident in yourself. So there's a widespread effect that's going to the brain cells, to the body, to body functions, glands and organs. And if the energy is good and strong in the chakra, you don't have to worry about making adjustments. It's all automatic. Now when you get to the second chakra, which is one up, here we're into the water element and the force that is called covalence. And this is the energy that draws atoms together to make molecules. And in people, it's the same energy that draws people together. Something is attracting you towards someone. Not just beauty, but there's a sense of connection, and we make relationships. Just like hydrogen and oxygen connect, become a molecule of water. People connect and become something else. And then we have reproduction and becoming a whole new generation coming out of that. It's the same attraction. It's pulling together. So the adrenal glands, we all know about adrenaline. This is a chemical substance, one of our hormones that produces vitality. It gives us the power to do. And when the second chakra is functioning well, we have this vitality, we have a good stress response, circulation, metabolism is kind of flowing. The capacity to look at life's problems and challenges, we feel, yeah, we can do this. Adrenaline. When you drink coffee, you are boosting the adrenal glands to produce adrenaline. You can produce it also with breathing techniques, with movements and postures around the area of your kidneys, which is where these glands are sitting. So it gives us a new, a better outlook on life, and with good social connections. That's part of the psychological aspect of Swadhisthana, the second chakra. The fluid elements, your kidneys, the lymphatic fluid going around in your body, this is all connected. And when your relationships are good, everything will be flowing very nicely. When you have grudges and have had bad experiences, that changes. It inhibits the process. It slows down circulation into the adrenal glands, into the kidneys. Your liver is another organ that is affected by this, which is a kind of a recycling center. So the mind-body connection is an important aspect, always considered in yoga, and keeping your mind clear, keeping your level of happiness clear at an emotional level. You're feeling good and happy, and this is what you're expressing and sharing with others, not your depression. So all of this is working together to create better health. And in the healing wellness program, we go into each of these systems and look at where there may be problems. We scan through our minds, scan through our emotions, and scan through our body, feeling-wise, to observe what's really going on. In summarizing, let's go from the top down. Pineal gland is way up, a little bit in the back of the head. It's associated with the seventh chakra, Sahasrara. It is often referred to as the seat of the soul. It is a connection to the universal energies, a light-sensitive organ, but the light is not just visible light. It's a wider spectrum of the electromagnetic field, which brings in all kinds of information. From the standpoint of modern physiology, its well-supported function is the production of melatonin and the regulation of circadian rhythms, while there's ongoing research into melatonin's broader effects. It is also known and has been researched somewhat that there's the production of DMT, which is something that actually gets us into a higher state of consciousness, beyond pain, into almost a psychedelic vision. So in the same area, just in front, we have the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland is connected with Ajna chakra. in the forebrain. This is where we make decisions. This is where we analyze, calculate, become awake and aware. So it's an important aspect. And in the physiological functions, it is connected, it is called the master gland because it actually controls the hormones, dictates and produces the hormones that regulate the rest of the endocrine system. Very well connected with the hypothalamus. It is linked, and these two work together actually to go from emotional responses, thought patterns, into brain chemistry and the whole hormonal world of our physiological body. As we go down a little bit from there, we can come to the level of Vishuddha chakra, which then is connected to the thyroid and the parathyroid glands. These connect to communication, expression, and balance. Scientifically, the established roles are physiological. The thyroid regulates metabolism and energy use, throughout the body. That includes the brain, actually. While the parathyroids maintain precise calcium levels needed for normal muscle contraction, nerve signaling, and bone health. These perspectives can be presented as complementary, one symbolic and philosophical, the other based on anatomy and physiology. Then we come down. Then we come down to the Anahata chakra. This one is governing heart and lungs, and we're looking here at the thymus gland, which is connected to the autoimmune system. It is the gland that educates the white blood cells into what type of cell it should become. Killer T cells, antibodies. So it has a whole educational function. And then it puts out thymosin, which activates immune functions, kind of wakes up the white blood cells. Practices that reduce chronic stress, such as yoga, meditation, and controlled breathing, can support healthy immune regulation through their effects on the nervous and endocrine systems, even though they do not directly stimulate the thymus. In simple terms, the bone marrow is the factory that produces many immune cells. The thymus is the academy where cells are trained before being sent out to defend the body. Then we come down to Manipura. This is our power center. Governs digestion. The pancreas, the main gland, actually puts out thousands of different enzymes that go into the molecules of the food we eat and break them apart into smaller pieces that we can then reassemble, and some of this is in the liver, reassembles the molecules into the proteins and the substances that we need for our own self. It is the energy management center, since it digests the food, and we get our energy from the food that is digested. In practical terms, maintaining pancreatic health is supported by regular physical activity, a balanced diet rich in whole foods, maintaining healthy body weight, limiting excess alcohol, avoiding smoking, and getting adequate sleep. So we do yoga to also stimulate and reactivate this gland, rebalance it, and bring it into good function. Then we go down, sliding down to second chakra, Swadhisthana, and we have kidneys and adrenal glands. The adrenal glands sit right on top of the kidneys. know this because of adrenaline. It gives us the power and the energy to do things. Associated with Manipura, sometimes the solar plexus center, because the willpower comes from here. Really, the adrenal glands produce hormones that regulate energy, adaptation, vitality, stress response, circulation, metabolism, and the capacity to meet life's challenges with strength, focus, and resilience. This brings us back down to the first chakra, the sex glands and the hormones produced by the sex glands. Hormones produced by the sex glands regulate reproduction, influence emotional and sexual well-being, support muscle and bone health, affect energy and metabolism, and contribute to creativity, motivation, and healthy relationships through their widespread action on the brain and body. So that's it in a summary. We have a whole book of 60 pages just about the endocrine system, which will be part of the course. And we should know how well these things are functioning in us. In yoga, you learn to feel them, and you can regulate them, stimulate them, relax them, all part of possibilities in yoga. Thank you for listening. Welcome to join our wellness program.